Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Peace Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. You know, I showed up to my third video call with my current partner with a full face mask on, no makeup, and he was completely shocked by that. And I tell you that because there is power in being fully vulnerable and also being 100% authentically who you are. And the power in that, I'm going to tell you this early on in the pod, is that you get to be fully seen, but also there's no question whether you're being fully loved for who you are because you have never shown up as anyone different. And he talks about that often because he had been in a relationship prior with people who wore a mask and had a facade, and they pretended to be something, and they never fully opened up and were authentic and vulnerable. And so he felt like in relationship he was chiseling away at this wall that had been built, and then he was having to fight the artillery that was behind the wall and then pry the weapons out of the person's hand, because in an effort to protect themselves, these people were showing up as something different because they didn't think that he would accept them for who they were. And in turn, he felt as if he was in relationship with a stranger, because what he started to uncover and unearth through that relationship wasn't really the actual person who had shown up in the beginning. And I've done that before. I think we've all done it, where we come into relationship and we bring our representative and we think, okay, my goal is to get this person to be with me. But what we forget and don't understand in that space is, by trying to get the person to be with you, the focus is on where they are, but the focus isn't on who you are. And you can convince somebody to be with your representative because it's all of the good parts. It's you, if you sifted out all of the things and the human parts of you, and the perfection existed at the end. But that's not real. So when you go through a hard time, or when you get angry, or when that person doesn't show up the way that you expect them to, all of the things that you've been hiding and stuffing start to come to the surface, and that person is shocked by what they've seen. And we do it so often, and part of the reason why is because we don't, one, know who we are, or trust that someone will love us if we are fully ourselves. And so I felt like that in my past relationships. Like, if I don't come and show myself as this version of someone that they want, then are they actually going to want the real me? And I thought that the answer to that was no. So I had to show up as this other person, this other version of myself, in order to be liked. But what happens in those relationships is that the resentment starts to build because you might be liked, but you aren't being seen. So when you're not seen, then your internal knows, your body knows, your brain knows that you are on all the time. You are acting in a role all the time, and that's exhausting. And when your brain, body, and all parts of you become exhausted from pretending, then they start to crave that which they should have had in the first place, which is the ability to just be. And if your situation looks anything like mine did, that would mean that I needed to hole myself in a room and be by myself for hours in order to fully come to myself, because the only place that I was capable of being fully me was when I was alone. Because I had to act when I was in those relationships, because that is the level of vulnerability that I gave that person. So after getting out of those relationships, I told myself, I'm no longer willing to be liked for a half version of me. I'm no longer willing to contort myself into spaces that make me more likable because I want to be able to be me. And if I am not able to be me in that space, then that space isn't for me. And if I'm not able to be me with this person, then that person isn't for me. You see, the greatest gift that I gave myself during that time was to fully come to terms with who I was, the good, the bad, the ugly. And to say, if I have to be by myself to freely be this person, then that is exactly what I will do. Because I would rather be me than to be chosen by someone and have to shed parts of me and self-abandon in order to be in this relationship. And so my hope for you today is that if you're in that space, this podcast sets you free. Because I can't tell you how freeing it was to do something as simple as put on that mask and answer the phone. Because it wasn't an intentional, I'm going to put the mask on and answer the phone so he knows I'm fully being real with him. But it was it's time to call him. This mask has to stay on for 10 minutes. I'm not wasting it, so I'm going to pick up the phone. And though he was shocked by it, it did something in our relationship too. Because when someone knows that you're fully showing up as yourself, it also gives them permission to fully be themselves. This happens with your kids as well. If you never show emotion, if you never break from your stage presence with your kids, how then will they be able to accept the big emotions themselves? How then will they be able to navigate the big emotions if all you show them are happiness and anger? I'm happy because you're complying. I'm angry because you're not. And there's nothing in between. If you don't show them your full authentic self, they're not going to feel like they have permission to show their full authentic self. And we all know what happens when someone bottles up their emotions and bottles up who they are. Eventually it explodes. So you get tantrums, you get disrespect, you get misbehavior out the wazoo because they don't feel permission to fully be themselves. In order to give the people around you the permission to fully be themselves, you have to give yourself that same permission. And so when you walk in a room and you notice that you're navigating it funny, you're like, who is that girl? That's not you. Switch it up. Change it back to your full authentic self. Say it out loud. You know what? That's not really how I feel about that. I was having a moment where I felt like I needed to fit in. That's not my opinion. This is. And you can shift it in moment. And I bet you, because I've seen it, when you do that, you will have a group of people who now feel the weight of showmanship lifted off of their shoulders. And they're able to be more authentic with you in the room. Some people are going to pretend until the wheels fall off because that is who they've always been. They don't know how to be themselves because they don't trust themselves to be themselves. They don't even know who themselves are. But you don't have to show up that way. You can be your authentic self and you can be fully vulnerable and understand that when you are that way, what is for you is what you're going to be surrounded by. And what leaves and what falls off of your life was just baggage in the first place. It was more things to cause more resentment, to cause more ill feelings because you were feeling the weight of not being able to be truly who you are. Now, there are going to be some circumstances where you have to be a little bit more of the professional side of you. And there are going to be other situations where you have to be more of the funny side of you because, you know, the room is a little quiet and you want to bring some life to the room. But even in those circumstances, you don't have to self-abandon. You just have to turn up the dial on that particular part because that's what your work might require from you, or that's what a room full of strangers might require from you. But when you're with your people, those people should be the people that you literally can come home, take off your bra, put on your old ratty t-shirt and sweatpants, wash your face, put your hair in a messy bun, and not feel any type of way because that's what you look like, because that's who you are. If you're coming into those environments and you're feeling like you have to be all done up and you have to always be on your best behavior, there is not going to be an opportunity for you to have a bad day. There's not going to be an opportunity for you to have a human experience with all of the emotions, with all of the confusion, with all of the circumstances and nuances and just quirks that are part of being a human being. There's going to be no space for that. And if you want space to fully be, then you have to learn how to be vulnerable and authentic. And vulnerability feels weak. It's like, oh my gosh, if I share this with people, or if I'm truly open to the world, and I'm not talking about oversharing. Like, we're not telling somebody that we don't even know in the grocery store our entire life story and every ailment we have. But what I am saying is, if you're having sadness today, you should be able to share that with your people. And if you're questioning whether or not you can, then those aren't your people. Or you haven't given yourself permission to be fully and authentically you. The world doesn't need more carbon copies of the same people. We see that on social media all the time. My daughter was talking about it her first day of school. She was like, literally, I thought we had a school uniform because everybody was dressed the same. She was not, because she wanted to wear sweatpants. So that's what she wore. And I was like, do you, boo? If you want to wear sweatpants and Crocs, have at it. It is your high school years. Like, you don't have to try to fit in. And so we've become this version of, well, I'm scrolling and this is what is acceptable and this is how people want to see people. And so I'm going to be my version of that thing. And we just have all of these carbon copies and pastes of the same people doing the same things, having the same experiences, giving the same advice. But there's a reason that you are your authentic self. And that authentic person, that original version, is in the spaces that you're in. Because those spaces need the real version of you to exhaust change and to have full awareness of what's going on around them. And to not only be able to sit in their own perspective. And if you don't share that, and if you don't allow people to see it, then you're robbing them of the experience to grow. Because in this relationship, it is completely different than any other that either of us have experienced. But having somebody who doesn't pop off every time something goes wrong is unique for him. He's never known how to experience that before. So it's causing him to grow because he has to be able to listen and talk and communicate through things without emotions being so large that they're now in the way of the actual problem and no solution can happen. But that would never have happened if in the very beginning stages of our relationship, I was another version of myself, and I've done that before. And I told myself that I was no longer going to do that. That I was no longer willing to contort or shape myself in the spaces that I was in, but that I was going to walk in the room authentically me, knowing that I have protector parts, knowing that my ego is going to come out sometimes, knowing that my perfectionism tries to shine its ugly head every now and again, but also letting the people around me know that those are the things that I'm contending with. And trusting myself enough to put myself around people who aren't going to use that to their advantage, but knowing how to set a boundary if they do, who are going to love me for all of my human experience, but knowing how to set a boundary if they don't. Understanding that when all else fails, I cannot self-abandon. And I will never say, this is me, take it or leave it, because that's not true. I try to be a better version of me every single day. But what I will say is this is something that I value heavily, and I'm not moving on this thing. You can share your perspective with me, but this is a core value that I hold, and I won't move it. And being able to be okay with, if that causes people to leave, then those aren't my people. And it breaks my heart to watch people do what I used to do, because there's a world full of people and their authenticity is what this world needs. And so when I walk into a space, I try to provide opportunity for people to, and hold space for people to be exactly who they are. I don't try to shush my kids' emotions. I don't try to make people, I used to do this and it was horrible. I don't try to make people happy anymore just to get them out of the sadness that they're feeling. I sit with them and I let them experience whatever it is they're experiencing, and I hold space for that to happen because that's what I want them to do for me when I'm having one of those days. So I know there isn't a list of bullet points with this one, but there was just something, I wasn't even supposed to record about this today. There's just something heavy on my heart to let you know that we want you to show up authentically in every space you're in. We want you to want, above all else, to be able to be fully and authentically you, no matter how scary it is, no matter how many people are going to push back on it, no matter how much fear you have that opening up is going to allow for you to be hurt somehow. The spaces that you're in and the people that are around you who actually love you, love all parts of you. They do. And they have compassion for the parts of you that break your heart. And they have compassion for the parts of you that stir up anger inside of you. And they sit with you during those moments. They're not judging you. They're not expecting you to be perfect. They're not expecting you to be enough, more of something to make them more comfortable. They just want you to be your full self. And if that is not enough for the people in your life, when you require everything in your life to be in alignment with this version of you today, when those things start to fall off, it will hurt, but it will also feel like cleaning out your closets, like you're getting rid of things that no longer serve you, no longer fit you, and are things that you no longer need. So today I encourage you, be 100% you. Be fully authentic in who you are. Get rid of all of those coping mechanisms that you've crafted and adapted to protect yourself. And understand that self-abandonment is the most harmful thing that you can do for you. Because being fully and authentically you will allow you to be in alignment in spaces and places and with the people who are for you. I hope this podcast served you well. If this message resonates with you, go to all my social medias, like and subscribe to those pages. And remember, knowledge gained and kept to yourself is selfish, but shared with the world could just be the catalyst that they need to break free from the bondage that they're in. And if someone that you know is experiencing the bondage of being on stage and being a showman for the world around them, please share this video with them so that they understand that we want their true and authentic self. We will sit with them, we will love on them, and we will allow them because we are in alignment with that value. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you again next time.